Hi there, future PEs. This is Wasim Asgar. I'm a licensed professional engineer in the US and Canada. I've authored several books on the topic of FE electrical and PE power exam preparation, and I also run popular exam preparation programs for FE electrical and PE power exams. So without further ado, let us dive into the content. Why EIT and PE? So EIT certificate, PE license. Why are these important credentials, especially in the current age of AI, and why should we even bother pursuing them? I'm going to look at it through three different lenses, right? Three different profiles, three different categories, three different personas. The first one is recent graduates, folks who are either still in school or have graduated very recently, I would say typically within the last 3 years. Now, it's not a mystery that the job market currently for recent grads is really bad. And this webinar is being recorded in 2026. Anybody who watches this webinar on my YouTube channel in 2028, maybe things are going to be different. But as of now, the job market, entry level job market in the US is quite tough for recent graduates. You can pinpoint multiple reasons as to why that is the case, and that will help you understand it. But unless you take meaningful action, it really does not matter much. Interestingly, just a few years ago, let's say around the end of COVID, and even when we were in the middle of COVID, based on what I know, since I've been in this industry for close to 15 plus 16 plus years, depends on how when you start looking at it. I did my first internship in 2008, and when I graduated in 2010, in 2008, when I landed my first internship, it was really, really tough because the financial crisis had just hit, and the job market graduating in 2010 was also fairly bad. And then the peak, in my opinion, during COVID was when employers were struggling to find any type of resource, and the economy came back pretty quickly. That's just a little bit of a context and history. But I would say since the end of 2023, 2024, as more employers, more and more companies are starting to adopt AI in their proper workflows, the more entry level routine tasks, and this is not engineering only, this is across the board. In fact, engineering is still a little bit insulated because engineers are working with more specialized knowledge, but less specialized knowledge. They are just being completely, those roles are being completely eliminated because AI can do a lot of things much faster, more accurate, and so on. I've got this small request for you. 77% of you watching right now are not subscribed to the channel. That's a massive number. If this video is helping you out in any shape, way, or form, please do me a quick favor. Please hit the subscribe button and ring the bell. That way you will not miss out on any content that we've got planned, and it really supports the channel. So this is the reality, right? The job market is currently the softest that it has been in several years. Your EIT certificate forms an initial line of defense because it clearly signals to employers that you are serious about your long-term career growth. You're not stopping at just getting a degree. The undergraduate degree or graduate degree, even, it is a stepwise process. Everybody else who's graduating in your class has the same degree, plus minus. Maybe your scores are better, your transcript looks much nicer, more attractive, you have a better CGA, GPA, and so on. But it's only a minor difference for the most part. But the EIT certificate, which you can actually obtain while you're in your final year of studies, that is a significant difference. Because in my opinion, based on students who are enrolled in my FE electrical program, my PE power program, I notice that less than 10% of the students or the folks who are in my program are in school currently. Okay, so majority of the folks who are preparing for the FE exam, the PE exam, they are either fully employed or they've been out of school for some time. So these folks who are being more proactive and trying to get done with the FE exam, getting the EIT registration done while they're still in school, just about to graduate, or have recently graduated, it does give them a significant leg up. So it is extremely, extremely helpful. And employers are almost making it sort of a requirement. More and more employer, funny enough, some of my students at FE level, they've shared some job postings with me, And they're like, Wasim, even for entry level positions, they're asking for a PE license. How is that even possible? Because you actually need to have experience, right, in order to meet the PE requirement. But that's just very clear signal from the employer that we need you to be working on your licensure if you want to grow in this role, or even if you want to get a foot in the door. So don't shoot the messenger. This is the reality. And the good news is that there is a path forward. If you are serious about establishing your career as a technical engineer, then as electrical engineers, we actually have a very clear path. I'll give you one stark difference, distinction, where the more glamorous engineering discipline compared to electrical, I would say in the last 10, 15, even 20 years, which is, I'll call it a cousin of electrical engineering, which is software engineering or computer engineering to an extent. Unfortunately, based on my assessment, this type of a silver lining does not exist for them. And the simple reason is that software never required any type of licensure because you don't even need a degree. Most of these big tech entrepreneurs or mega tech billionaires, the Mark Zuckerbergs and Bill Gates and a whole bunch of them, never even graduated from university. You don't need to have a degree, and software is not really a regulated profession, just like electrical engineering or power systems engineering is. Now, they were thriving for the longest time, commanding the highest salaries in any engineering disciplines. Across any engineering discipline, nothing came close to software, especially if you were above average software engineer, you could make it rain. But unfortunately, now, because there's sort of no filters or barriers or even a requirement, like nobody checks who did the code and the code is implemented type of thing. I mean, obviously there are checks and balances, QA and QCs, but you don't need a PE to stamp on a single like on a code, just like you need a PE to stamp on a code on a single line diagram, for example. Okay, there might be exceptions, but generally speaking. So that entire workflow is so easy to automate, and within seconds, Claude and ChatGPT and everybody, all of these tools can come up with higher quality code for which you would have to employ a junior or intermediate engineer. Is that possible in the field of electrical engineering or power systems engineering? Anything is possible, but it is not probable. I'll tell you why. Because in our line of work, you need to have accountability, a lot stronger accountability than you have in some of the other areas. I mean, fast forward to a P license, you cannot have a bridge constructed, for example, unless a civil engineer takes ownership of that, or the design elements in power systems engineering. Obviously, there are certain exceptions. If you are a private entity, then there are some exclusions and exemptions that you can make use of. But by and large, public cannot be put in a position where nobody is accountable, right? Because our work directly impacts public. So this is a silver lining, and I think this is going to stay. In fact, it's going to become more important. So that's for the recent graduates. Another very important category is folks who are intermediate career, right? Who are kind of career, and folks who are internationally trained engineers arriving to the US or have been working in the US in engineering capacity or pivoting into an engineering role. So the EIT translates for these folks increased recognition and local credential. It puts greater credibility marker on your resume, on your LinkedIn profile, and signals again to the industry that, listen, I have the competency same as a local US engineering graduate. In fact, more than that, because on top of my degrees being evaluated at the same level, I actually have passed this technical exam, which puts me on the same footing as anybody else who has an FEEIT. In all honesty, this is the fastest and the lowest path to credibility. Let me explain you why. If you want to go through the process of doing an undergrad in the US as an internationally trained engineer, or you're a mid-career US graduate and you want to add greater intrinsic value to your profile, and you feel like, I'm going to get a graduate degree to stand out from the rest of the competition. In both cases, it is going to take you more time, right? The degrees are not handed to you in a shorter amount of time. An undergraduate is 99% of the time going to take you 4 years. A graduate degree, 99% of the time is going to take you at least 1 year. So there is the opportunity cost of time and the cost of these degrees. And what you get at the end of the day is still backed by an institution, right? A private or public university or college. And there are tons and tons of people already in the US and arriving in the US with maybe fancier degrees than you have. The great equalizer is your PE license because everybody goes to the same standardized exam, right? It is recognized not at an institutional, at a private level, but it's backed by the state. The duration, end to end, typically students who start their FE journey with me and then get the PE exam done, anywhere between 8 to 12 months if they go at it back to back. Pass the FE with about 4 to 5 months of preparation, take a little bit of a break, a couple of weeks here, a couple of weeks there type of thing, jump into the PE power exam preparation, again, maybe 5 to 6 months. So we are roughly looking at 8 to 12 months complete from FE all the way to PE. And that translates into a PE license after you meet other requirements. So in the grand scheme of things, I find that the smart, proactive engineers do recognize the trade that they're making. But yes, I can go back to school, I can kind of get a degree and this and that, maybe get into debt in the process of getting the degree, right? Um, and then alternatively, I can devote my time, energy, and effort working towards a PE license. Once you get the PE license, your academics, your initial degree, your second degree, third degree, whatever your academic background is and experience level, everything gets equalized. Employers look at you completely differently. Case in point, I like to tell all of my students is that about, say, about 25%, at least 25%, and I don't know exact stats, this is just observation, at least 25% of all the doctors, MDs in the US are foreign graduates, right? But when you have MD next to your name, you basically have the same privileges and responsibilities, same liabilities, and same opportunities pretty much as any other MD. And that is true with the PE license as well. And the third one, obviously, is the PE license itself, the credential that's becoming more and more valuable, not less. Interestingly, AI in the grand scheme of things is helping us on this front because I'm not sure if you guys are keeping an eye in terms of numbers. Everybody has been hearing about data centers popping up and data center electrical engineering roles are commanding 180K, 200K plus, right? And employers are finding it super difficult to fill those roles. That is a fact. If you just search online or just keep an eye open, it's difficult to ignore. So much money is going into AI. And the downstream effect is that electrical engineers, power systems engineers are big beneficiaries because of AI. There are so many other industries and fields that are currently demolished by AI, okay, for lack of a better word, because as I mentioned earlier, AI can do a lot of tasks much better than an average human. Data centers are what run AI, and there is a ripple effect. If data centers are poaching engineers from utilities, from public settings, from oil and gas, renewables, any electrical engineer who has a portable skill set is being kind of brought into the orbit of data centers. And that further creates downstream opportunities for people who have the skills, may not be directly working for data centers, but then there is investment that is happening elsewhere in the industry as well. The US grid is going through the biggest upgrade that it has seen in the last century or something. I read this article. And that again is indirectly because of data centers, the amount of energy they consume, and the fact that there had not been any significant investment in the US electrical infrastructure as compared to other major economies in the world that have rapidly doubled and quadrupled their grid size and made it more resilient and have integrated renewables. The US electricity grid has so far been lacking behind for multiple reasons.
But with the onset of data centers, the grid capacity has to be increased, and that requires electrical engineers as well. And each and every one of these projects need licensed engineers, licensed PEs. So for power systems engineers or people who are aspiring to get into power systems engineering, AI actually has been a blessing, and this will continue to be the case. My thesis, based on what I know, my understanding, those of you who are actively following the industry trends, is that the timing of the onset of data centers versus the slowdown in PV in renewable has been almost perfect. Um, as the federal grants and um, the priorities regarding renewable have shifted in the last couple of years, PV was the hottest market, but now it has been overtaken by data centers. Just imagine in a couple of years, maybe, if the renewable starts firing on all engines again, while data center is still booming, then essentially you will just not have enough resources, competent resources, when it comes to power systems, electrical engineering, and the skill set that is required to service all of that. And that creates a lot of opportunities for growth, career advancement, fast learning, and exciting projects. So these are all the reasons why the EIT certification and the P license are important credentials. The job market overall is softer. AI is definitely reshaping this field, but folks who are proactively working towards their P licensure, getting their EIT done, getting their P license by passing the FE electrical P power exam, are now basically moving ahead at a much faster rate than people who are simply procrastinating and not willing to pull the trigger. These are not easy exams. FE Electrical is consistently rated as one of the most difficult exams that electrical engineers ever take. And that assessment only changes after you take the PE Power exam, because then the PE Power exam becomes the most difficult exam that you will ever take. And I help tons of electrical engineers and even non-electrical engineers who've been pivoting into power systems with their FE electrical and P power prep. Feel free to check out my website, studyforfe.com, for more details.
If you're new to this channel, please consider subscribing. On a weekly basis, I'm creating content for FE electrical and P power exam preparation. I also discuss topics related to electrical engineering with a focus on power systems engineering. If you'd like to learn more about my FE electrical and P power exam preparation programs, please visit my website, studyforfe.com.